Good evening, everyone. Guys, it's a late one today, and I'm kind of doing this on the fly because I'm up early in the morning and I'm going to be out doing a little expedition with my eldest daughter. Guys, what have we got to talk about today? Well, lots of stuff happening as always. You know, the craziness that's happening in the United Kingdom at the moment. I think I'm going to have to do a specific video on that, from everything from the Leeds riots, this incident at Manchester Airport, and the subsequent protests about that. You know, I think I need to do a bigger picture video on how all this ties in and how all this sort of stuff's connected. You know, these things are not random. You know, when these little cracks appear, people fan the flame, and then those fires ignite. And these things are not random at all, guys. So, what's been happening then? We've got World War III fears growing in the United Kingdom now. People are starting to get ground rush. We've got Lithuania being given cash to secure their border with Russia. We've got Estonia saying they will support Ukraine until victory. We've got Latvia they've already started strengthening their border with Russia. We've got the United States, Canada, Finland making an ice pact to secure, the Arctic region. And also, guys, Britain has just unveiled a new super weapon that we're going to be talking about. So, guys, let's just get straight into it. And obviously, guys, I will put all the links to these in the description. So if you want to have a look at them and read the full articles, give it a click. But equally, I'll just condense it so you don't have to. And guys, I am going to try and keep this quick because, like I said, I'm up early in the morning. But let me just read this one first for you guys. So this is an article about World War III fears. So some guy, where are we? Yeah. World War III fears soar as British ex-defence chief makes chilling warning. So the Russian threats to Britain and Britons are no longer theoretical, a former NATO chief said in a chilling warning. So can you remember, like a couple of months back, when they said, oh guys, we need to be ready in maybe 10 years. It'll be 10 years off if we have to fight the Russians. And then it was like, well, maybe it's 5 to 10. And then people are saying now, oh guys, actually it's 3 years. And now, you know, we've got, I think he's an MP at the moment. I think he is an MP, he's a Lord. And he's come out and he said, you know, these threats are no longer theoretical. Lord George Robertson, who served as the 10th Secretary General of NATO, slammed the depraved conduct of Vladimir Putin's soldiers in Ukraine as he vividly portrayed what the stakes are in today's increasingly dangerous world. So, you know, we really are seeing people now start to realise this threat, and they're looking at what's actually happening in Russia. They're looking at Russia's military-industrial complex, how it's growing from strength to strength. They're looking at their recruiting, how they're recruiting soldiers so quickly and then getting them out to the front line. And I think people are realising now that you don't do this unless you're planning on a big conflict. You know, people are waking up to this now. It's 10 years too late, but I guess better late than never. So he's also said, Lord Robertson, who is leading the root and branch review of the UK's armed forces by Prime Minister Keir Starmer, told the House of Lords on Thursday, so yesterday, we need to recognise that the threats to our country and our citizens are no longer theoretical. They are no longer a distant possibility. They are alive and well in Ukraine today, where Vladimir Putin's Russia has brutally invaded and sought to occupy a peaceful neighbouring independent nation state. So he's putting it out there, guys. You know, he's telling the Lords and he's letting everybody know now that these things are real. And this could be, you know, these threats could be brought towards us anytime they want, you know. If, like I've said, is going to happen, I've been saying it quite a while, that the United States are going to focus in the Middle East and potentially China, that would leave the United Kingdom as the main focus, the main threat for Russia. So that's what everybody is saying now, and I think people are starting to wake up to certainly what I've been saying for 10 years in my private life, where, you know, with my friends I've got who are still serving. But it's a good thing people are waking up, and hopefully we can manage to do something about it, because as we'll come on to at the end of this video, guys, the super weapons that the British military are claiming they're producing, we'll save that for the end of the video, guys, all right? But anyway, Lithuania then. So if you remember what I've spoke about, this Eastern Shield, these Eastern Pacts and these bilateral security agreements between countries, Lithuania's just been given 150 million euros to strengthen its eastern border. So remember that Eastern Shield then with, who is it? Finland, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia and Poland, who are all signing, you know, agreements with each other, you know, to strengthen their borders. Look what's happening on the Polish border, and the other Baltic nations. They'll be thinking, okay, right, this is probably going to be similar tactics are going to be used on us. So I think they're just being proactive to get this done. Now, if you understand anything at all, guys, about governments, they are never proactive. Only in very, very, you know, very definite situations. So if governments are spending money on these sort of things, then you can pretty much guarantee, you know, it's going to happen. This is the back behind the scenes of this then, well, kind of not behind the scenes, but concurrently to this, you've got the new Estonian Prime Minister saying that they're going to support Ukraine until victory. Now, let's think about those words. We're going to support Ukraine until victory. So that means they're not talking about peace there. They're not talking about we're going to support you until you get a peace deal. We're going to support you until the fighting stops. No, they're saying they will continue to support. They're saying it, guys, and I'll put the links in the description to this video. They are going to support Ukraine until the victory. So, you know, it's pretty unambiguous what they mean. This really sounds like what the British Prime Minister said when he took office, when he said, we will continue, what did he say? He pledged £3 billion per year for Ukraine for as long as it takes. So it seems like all these new prime ministers have just been put in place and they're kind of all saying the same thing. You know, it's like, I don't know, it's like they go to the same prime minister's school or something that tells them how to say and how to talk about these things. And Latvia then, so Latvia, another Baltic nation, they've already started to strengthen their border. They've been putting dragon's teeth out. You know, they're all going to be looking at what's happening on the Polish border. They're all going to be working together in this Eastern Shield. And that's kind of, you know, why I said a long time ago that I feel NATO's over. Because you've got this Eastern Shield now. You've got Poland and Ukraine having, you know, their own security agreements. So the reality is NATO it doesn't matter anymore. You know, everybody's, you know, gushing about these NATO articles and NATO will protect us. Guess what? They won't. And it doesn't matter because you know, countries are already sorting their own deals out, their own agreements with you know, with their neighbours, which they should do. You know, so all this talk about NATO, Article 5, Article 4, and all the particulars, doesn't matter. It's dead in the water. You might as well just set fire to it now because it is absolutely irrelevant. Leading me towards this new formation of a new pact between the United States, Canada, and Finland. They all obviously, you know, they border this, you know, this Arctic region. So you've got obviously Alaska, United States. You've got Canada, Finland. They all form part of this. Well, they've called it the Ice Pact. You know, I was laughing. I had to read it twice. I said, right, no, they're really calling themselves the Ice Pact. When I hear Ice Pact, I think it's like a band or something that's I don't know. Sounds like does like indie music. I don't know. Anyway, but they've got an Ice Pact now, and this is to counter Russian and Chinese influence in that Arctic region. Now, this is for, well, let me read you what they're saying in the tabloids. US, Canada, Finland form Ice Pact to project influence into the Arctic region. So, as we move forwards in time and there's this global warming, now whether you believe that's man-made or not, it doesn't really matter because it's really happening. But the Arctic region, it's melting and that's making it more accessible to ships for trade, for military, for all sorts of stuff. When I see these things and this money being spent, I think, okay, right, is that the real reason? Or if you look at the globe, Is that the shortest missile? Is that the shortest distance to send an intercontinental ballistic missile? Is that the closest you can get to these nations, potentially under the water, with submarines that can be nuclear tipped? So I think that's kind of the real reason why they're saying this, but I think they're just framing it as, you know, as trade routes. Canada, the United States and Finland say a newly announced ice pact to build a fleet of polar ice-breaking ships will challenge China's control of the market as nations scramble for influence in the Arctic. So there's a lot of stuff happening in the Arctic, guys, all right? I'm more focused on Antarctic. I think the Antarctic's got a bigger potential for catastrophic conflict down there in the South Atlantic. However, you know, at the moment it seems like, I don't know whether it's for training, whether it's just to test and adjust their kit and equipment, you know, in a similar region. I don't know, but the reality is there's a lot of stuff going on in the Arctic region involving all these countries because, you know, obviously China and does China? Yeah, of course it does. You know, China and Russia have big influence in that region as well. And what you're going to see is you're going to see people wanting to control this region. And obviously, you know, they're going to want to look for oil. They're going to want to look for resources. And everybody's going to want to keep it for themselves. And you can't do any of that unless you've got the infrastructure in place to do that. Excuse me. Finally then, guys, I got through this really quick. I'm impressed with myself. So, the new British super weapon. Guys, this thing, if by super they mean waste of money, never work, and will probably never go into deployment because it's a waste of time, money and resources, that's right. Anyway, so what are they talking about? Well, let me read you the article, guys, okay? You're probably going to know what I think about these things because I have done these to death. And every time I see them come up, it just winds me up something wrong, guys. So, Britain fires new laser super weapon. And they're calling it a super weapon that costs just 10 pence a shot to shoot down drones. The success of the new weapon comes ahead of a defence review by Labour following their general election victory. Now, we have a guy called John Healey, who is the Defence Minister in the United Kingdom. He's never been in the military. Now, where I accept that it's not, you don't have to be in the military to be a Defence Minister. In the world that we're at the moment, I think you should, you know, I think you do, because where will this guy John Healey get his information from? He will get a requirement from the military. The military will give him the requirement that they wanted on the last war. So they'll give him a requirement that they needed fighting the last war. And then that thing will get put out to tender. 5 years later, somebody will get some money to build a prototype. And in 5 years' time, this whole battlefield is going to have changed again. So, you know, you need people who understand the front line, who understand how things work, who understand how kit and equipment works. Because we can't take it from private companies that they're giving us the best information. Because what's the sole purpose of a private company? No, it's not to give you a service, it's not to give you a product, it's to get money out of your pocket into their pocket. That's it, bust. The problem for a private company is they need to provide goods or a service as an intermediate to do that. Anyway, let me just read a little bit of this, guys. Honestly, I'm just going to rip this apart. A brand new British super weapon could not only take out enemy drones, but also cost 10 pence for each shot fired. The new device, a laser weapon known as the Raytheon High Energy Laser Weapon System, HELWST, is designed to take out enemy drones before they pose a threat to the British military. Guys, I've done this to death, they don't work. Earlier this year, the weapon reached an important milestone when it was fired from a British combat vehicle for the first time. According to reports, the weapon uses just 10 pence worth of energy for each shot fired, and could prove useful as drones continue to proliferate the war in Ukraine. So let's just look at that then. So it costs 10 pence for each laser beam fired or whatever. Okay, how much do the hydraulics cost that move that laser into place? Because lasers are heavy. Okay, how much does it cost for maintenance of that said system? What's targeting the drones? So as the drones coming in, what's targeting them? Because it can't be done by humans. We're not smart enough. We're not quick enough. Our hand-eye reflexes, they're not there. So how much does that cost? So while the laser firing off may well indeed only cost 10 pence. What are the other? How much do the other systems cost that get the laser to point at that system, at that drone coming in? How many shots does it take to take down a drone? Because I can tell you this, it's not going to be one. You need a constant burn on that system for it to come down. And all the time while that drone's moving left to right, up, down, changing pitch, roll, yaw, you know, all these things, your laser system's having to move on it, and that takes up time, it takes up battery power. Where's the battery power coming from this? Okay, you've got this mounted on a, as you see in the article, you've got this mounted on, what have they got it mounted on? I think they've got it mounted on a jackal. I don't know, maybe it may not be a jackal. But they've got that mounted on the back of some sort of, you know, light-skinned vehicle. Where are the batteries for this? You can't plug these things into the mains when you're out in the field. So that means you're going to have generators running. That means you're going to have capacitors. All these things take up time. They take up money. They take up resources. They take up drain. And I've just looked at the system that they've got. I don't know if it's, I think it's a CGI. I hope it's a rendering. It looks like a rendering. It looks like a rendering, but I hope it looks like a rendering. But basically, where they've got this, they've got this for shooting drones in the sky. Okay, what if it's really low to the ground? The drone, you know, the laser. I hope, you know, the laser won't be able to hit it because of the gimbal mechanism. That's just me getting technical. All right, these things are not going to work. They're not the answer. Earlier this year, the weapon reached... Oh, we've done that. We've done that. There we are, guys. Yeah. So, guys, you're going to laugh at this. Speaking about the weapon to Forces Net, Chief Executive and Managing Director of Raytheon UK, James Gray, said, so what did we just say about private companies? Remember, it's the private company's job to get money from your client, from their client, into their bank account. Nothing else. So he's the managing director of Raytheon who made this weapon. And he said, we have proven that the Raytheon high energy laser weapon system can track and engage targets whilst mounted on a vehicle. Now, I would say to him, okay, that's well and good. Can it take them down? Because I know for a fact the answer will be no. But look, but he's not saying that, is he? He's saying, we've proven that we can track and engage targets while on a vehicle. So what? Nobody cares. You know, you can engage as many drones as you want. If they're not falling out of the sky, your system is useless. How is it going to deal with multiple targets? How is it going to deal with, you know, people trying to fry your, people actually, snipers taking out your radar dishes? Because I'm going to assume they've got some sort of radar on there that can track these systems. Guys, you know, the solution is so simple. You just give everyone shotguns and that's how you deal with it. Because there's no technology that can deal with these drones. They can deal with maybe one or two, but when these things start swarming in, forget about it, guys. You know, these things are just an absolute waste of taxpayers' money. But guys, I've waffled on for long enough. I'm going to be out in the morning, early tomorrow. The rest of the videos I do, they're not going to have any thumbnails. They'll just be my random face, whatever the algorithm decides that the thumbnail should be. That's just what it's going to be, guys. I think I've covered everything. If I've not, it doesn't matter. And that's it, guys. I'm going to mag to grid.